Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, text 2.
Text number 2. Ji Prabhu.
Yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktis.
Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur
Vimuktis.
Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam.
Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam.
Mahantas Te Samchitta Prashanta.
Mahantas Te Samchitta Prashanta.
Vimanyavah Suhridah Sadhavo Ye.
Vimanyavah Suhridah Sadhavo Ye.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Okay. Translation. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into Lord's existence, associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with the people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Purport. The human body is like a junction. One may either take the path of liberation or path leading to a hellish condition. How one can take this path is described herein. 1. On the path of liberation, one associates with Mahatmas, and on the path of bondage, one associates with those attached to the sense gratification and woman. Those are two types of Mahatmas, the impersonalist and devotee. Although their ultimate goal is different, the process of emancipation is almost the same. Both want eternal happiness. One seeks happiness in impersonal Brahman, and the other seeks happiness in the association of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. As described in the first verse, Brahma Saukhyam. Brahman means spiritual or eternal. Both are impersonalist, and the devotees seek eternal. Both the impersonalist and the devotee seek eternal blissful life. In any case, it is advised that one become perfect. In the verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.87, Asat Sangatyaga, E Vaishnava Achara, Stri Sangi, Ek Asadu, Krishna Bhakta Ara. To remain unattached to the modes of material nature, one should avoid associating with those who are asat, materialistic. These are two kinds. Simply a non-devotee. On the positive side is association with the Mahatmas, and on the negative side is avoidance of non-devotees and woman hunters. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you very much. So, as we were discussing yesterday also, why is there so much emphasis on avoiding the association of women and those associated with women? And actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes one step further. He says, avoid the association of those who associate with women. So, like if I am associating with someone who is a woman hunter, then you should avoid my association also. That's the principle. So why is that? Because, as we're going to see actually further down this chapter only, Pumshama Striya Mithuni Bhavametam Tayor Mitho Hridaya Granthemahu Ato Graha Kshetra Sutapta Vittayar Janasya Mohayam Aham Mamiti. So again and again the same principle. So this is text 8. Actually, we are on text 2 right now. Text 8, this verse is going to come. Because the very principle of material existence is attraction between male and female. I'll give you one very simple example. Like when I was studying engineering, we used to work with engineering materials. So iron filings, magnets and all. You never take a magnet near an iron filing. Like iron filings are used for some kind of like creating metal slurries and all. But if a magnet accidentally goes near iron filings, the magnet will be spoiled. The filings will get stuck to the magnet and you will never be able to take them out. Because that's their state, that's their conditioning. They must stick together. So like that, male and female are default attraction in this material world. You can restrain yourself from automobiles, buildings, and mundane knowledge, but you can never restrain yourself from attraction to women. Or, if you are a woman, then attraction to man. Because that's the default stage of conditioning. In the absence of Krishna, we are naturally getting attracted. Pumshama striya mithuni bhava. That's like a magnetic attraction. You just can't avoid it. Therefore, so many warnings are given. So many warnings. If you see if you see railway tracks, the biggest warning always given is speed. 30, 50, 70, there are speed limit everywhere. Everyone is only talking about speed limits because that's the most dangerous element for a train. Everything happens because of, overspeeding. So in material life also, we have to completely avoid this association. Meaning that we should not be associating with the perspective of male-female relationship in mind. In due course of our normal daily activities, ladies and gents have to mix together. I mean, such is the nature of Kali Yuga. But we should never have the desire of enjoying. I am enjoying the company of Matajis or Prabhujis. So, this has to be rooted out from the very subtle level. Like if one, for example, like Bhakti Vikas Swami writes in his book that, if you're a brahmachari and you're in a temple and you're being served by a Mataji, first of all, you should never accept that service. And secondly, if you're accepting that service, don't accept the same Mataji again and again. And especially if you start enjoying that service, just completely give it up. So if you, for example, if you are in some service, like for example, you are garlanding the temple, and then you see some corner Matajis are sitting and you have to garland that area, and you start enjoying that service. Even though you're not talking to them, you're not even having any personal communication with them. Don't just take that service, because that is where the root of the problem has started. So therefore one has to, therefore this process is given, asat sanga tyaga ei vaishnava achar, stri sangi eka sadhu krishna bhakta. So this is a negative principle. We have to avoid this completely. So also in Bhagavad Gita, actually, Krishna is mentioning something very interesting in the 14th chapter. Mam chayo abhyavicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatyattaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He is established on the platform of Brahman. So this is the negative principle that we have to avoid. Because especially, actually in this material world, if you're enjoying machines, computers, automobiles, that is also actually a form of subtle illicit sex. Enjoying Prakriti. So in the final assessment, even that has to be given up. But certainly association of women directly should be given up, because that's the most dangerous form. Because that's a very personal association, and that immediately leads to the contamination of aham mameti. When a woman talks to a man, or a man talks to a woman, and they hear each other's voice, immediately this false misconception of being a female or being a male is stoked. It rises up. A man enjoys hearing the sound of a woman enjoys hearing the sound of a man, the words of a man. And in this way, gradually the misconception that I am this body becomes strengthened. So therefore it has to be given up. So think of it from a very subtle perspective. Grossly, certainly it is like absolutely hellish, but even from a subtle point of view, it gradually degrades our consciousness. So then what is the positive principle? By rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personality, Mahat Sevam Dwaram. So Mahat Seva. So Srila Prabhupada explains Mahatma means anyone who's situated on the level of Brahman. Doesn't matter whether he's a personalist or an impersonalist. Maha Atma, like a superior soul, because he has transcended the principle of gross enjoyment of material energy. So Krishna also says Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma na shochati na kankshati. So Samah Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. What does that mean? It means that actually the devotional service actually starts from the platform of liberation. Before liberation, there is no question of devotional service altogether. So to come to the platform of liberation, one has to serve these great souls. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnana jnanenas tattvadarshina. Tattvadarshi. Even an impersonalist is tattvadarshi because he has at least understood Brahman. So whether one wants directly to merge into the Supreme Lord or whether one wants to serve him, one has to serve someone who's above his station in the process of bhakti. That is the principle of Krishna consciousness. I mean, that is the principle of liberation. Krishna consciousness will be described later. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Guruji. One
Hare
question.
Hmm.
Guruji, impersonalist in Hindi means Mayavadi, right?
Huh.
So our acharyas throughout have been cutting Mayavadi philosophy, and Krishna himself says that a Mayavadi will never be able to attain himself. Attain him. So then why here we are saying a Mayavadi is a Mahatma?
We're saying impersonalist. So
Who doesn't
Mayavadis are
believe in the form.
one class of impersonalists. But if one wants liberation from material energy, see here what is he saying? Tamo dvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachittaha prashanta. Highly advanced in spiritual understanding, persons who see everyone in a spiritual identity and who are very peaceful. So even impersonalists are like that. Impersonalists are not like, bundles of raging hormones or something. They're also very silent. They are Brahmabhuta. So here we have to understand this subtle distinction that is in the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the philosophy of Shankara, Adi Shankara. Adi Shankara's philosophy is that the living entity can merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord, which is called Sayojya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Achintya Bheda Ved Tattva is that the living entity is simultaneously one and different from the Supreme Lord. It's a subtle distinction, something that we certainly cannot understand at our level. So here, Rishabdev is talking about liberation from material platform. He's not talking about attaining lotus feet of the Lord. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage. That's it. That's the first step, Brahmabhuta. So Brahmabhuta stage. Otherwise, the other path is hellish only. Actually, the other path which is described here, associated people fond of women and sex and path, the path of hell is wide open. Actually, this describes us. And because this is spoken in the time of Rishabdev Maharaj. At that time, things very different. I mean, if we bring a Stree Sangi from that time, he'll look like a Mahatma of our times. So you see.
Very true.
So our path is this second one. We have to change our direction.
Yes. We can. Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandapanam. Prabhuji, but if we serve or we are such impersonalists, then we might get a little bit swayed from our goal.
No, we don't have to do it. For those who are materially engaged. See, this is the beginning of the instructions of Rishabdev. The context is he has 100 sons. These 100 sons, one of them is going to be the king. Others are going to serve him. So they are like young boys, we can imagine here. And therefore, Rishabdev is giving them instructions from the very basics. So this is this, I would say singularly, if you ask me one topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the most relevant to modern context, I would say teachings of Lord Rishabdev.
Hmm.
These teachings are similar to what we have studied in the first chapter of first canto.
Hmm.
Dharmasya apavargasya nartho arthaya kalpate. So those teachings are like kind of being expanded upon here. So first he's talking about the platform of liberation. Now he's going to talk about bhakti.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. So
I have one question that when we are in our working places or schools or when we need to deal with this kind of very sinful materialistic people, so then how we can kind of protect ourselves that we don't get affected by their association.
next verse is
Okay.
the answer to this question.
Okay.
The question is, how do we protect ourselves from materialistic association? So this answer is coming down. Yeva maishe krita sohridartha.
Yeva Mahisha Kruta Saudahartha.
Janeshu deham paravartikeshu.
Janeshu
Deham Paravartikeshu
Graheshu jayat majarati matsu.
Viheshu Jayat Gujarati Matsu
Majarati Matsu
Na priti yukta yavad arthascha loke.
Napriti Yukta Yavad Arthashta Loke.
Yes. Would someone like to read?
Married Prabhuji. Married Ji.
Yes.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai.
Jai.
Translation. Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They are not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders. Nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep their body and soul together. Purport. Whether he is an impersonalist or a devotee, one who is actually interested in advancing spiritually should not mingle with those who are simply interested in maintaining the body by means of so-called advancement of civilization. Those who are interested in spiritual life should not be attached to homely comforts in the company of wife, children, friends, and so forth. Even if one is grihastha and has to earn his livelihood, he should be satisfied by collecting only enough money to maintain body and soul together. One should not have more than or less than that. And as indicated herein, a householder should endeavor to earn money for the execution of Bhakti Yoga. Shravnam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padsevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. A householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. He should worship the deity at home, observe festivals, invite friends in, and give them prasad. A householder should earn money for this purpose, not for sense gratification. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna starts his, in the very beginning, when Krishna is summarizing the Gita, Krishna is explaining in the 38th verse of the second chapter, Sukha dukhe samay kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yajyasva naivam papam avapsasi. So do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. See, this body doesn't belong to us, nor does anything else. Our very body is not ours, so how can anything else be belonging to us? So if we understand this, and that is like spiritual understanding, if we understand that, then we'll become detached from everything. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is explaining that, we come together like sticks floating in the ocean. We come together by waves, we hang around for some time, and then again waves separate us. never to meet again. So that's how these material relationships are. Husband, wife, mother, father. So this is all nonsense, 7 births, 7 births husband and wife will take together. Why only 7 then? Why not 70 or why not 6? Because this is just like some mental concoctions, imagination. And even if there are 7 births together, we will never remember who we were with in the last life. Therefore it doesn't matter. So therefore, these material relationships, these material possessions, they should never be taken too seriously. One should engage in his duty, perform it, and then be done with it. One should not hang around, as they say. One should not wait to see one should not be too attached to these things. So, and by doing so, if one simply renders one's duties, one will become free from all these attachments. Actually, it is the attachment which is keeping us in this material world. There is no Maya. Maya means that which is not. So, for example, you may think your husband or your wife is your life partner, but your dog or your neighbor doesn't think like that. Likewise, you may be so deeply attached to your children, but your children's teacher is not so attached to them. A child is simply a child. To you, he is your child. To you, he is a child. He's your child, but to the teacher, he's just another child. What difference? And if I am looking as a third observer, I can't even make out the difference between you and your child, or or the child's teacher and the child. I don't even know who's the mother, who's the father. So you see, that is the perspective. But in our minds, we have this relationship. Oh, this is my child. Well, he's born from you. Just take your responsibility and just be done with it. Don't waste your time in thinking that this is my child and I must look after his or her future and this and that. Because he's just another living entity. He has just appeared through you. He's not yours, nor are you his. Once time is over, you will be separated forever, never to be seen again together. So that is the consciousness, and that's the teaching of the Vedic system, Varnashram. For 25 years, a boy learns this in the Brahmachari ashram. After that, when he becomes a Grihastha, he already has the right perspective. Therefore, he does not become too deeply engaged. And when time comes, he's able to leave that. Because in this material world, whatever things we become attached to, they will be the cause of our misery. You become attached to your husband, your wife, or your child who's not a devotee. What will be your destination? Bhakti Vinod Thakur is asking that question. My Lord, all my life I ran after job, profession, education. Now I am an old man. What will be my destination? Indeed, what will be your destination? After another 30, 40 years, when you are completely old and bedridden, what difference will it make whether you had 2 sons, 20 sons, or no sons? You will be helpless. And nobody can save you at that time, except for the holy name. So therefore, householders in particular should not be attached to their home, hearth, and so many things, so on and so forth. Because one will become deeply attached and one will not be able to give it up and be to a hellish condition in the next birth. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajyatante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being you remember. All your life you remembered your husband, wife, child, mother, father. That's what you'll remember in your life. That's what you'll remember at the time of death. And that is what you will attain in the next birth. If God forbid, if your husband or your wife is a sinful person, you will have a hellish destination. We see the previous example, Maharaj Agnidra, the grandfather of Rishabdev. He attained the planet of Purvachitti because he was meditating on her. So he attained Purvachitti. So imagine if your wife is like some certain, ordinary woman, or your husband is an ordinary man, sinful, low class. What do you think will be your destination? See, Shastras have to be understood very deeply. You have to meditate on the meaning of Shastras and try to apply them in your own life. Then you will understand all of this. So right now, your husband may be the most loving person, or your wife may be the most loving person on earth. But look at their character. Are they pure in their devotion? If not, then they are going to hell and you will follow them because of your affection. People are addicted to alcohol, people are addicted to cigarette. Nowadays, people are addicted to pornography. Why do we look upon that? Nobody puts in his CV that, oh, I'm an alcoholic, or my hobby is watching pornography on weekends. Does anyone say that? People will write, my hobby is mountain climbing, but no one says my hobby is pornography. Why? Because we think it is immoral and shameful. And why do we think like that? Because it is hellish in nature. It degrades a person. So what do we really mean by that? What we mean is that it degrades one to lower conditions of life. We don't glorify such activities. So we should see, because by following such practices, one's destination will become hellish. So extrapolate this logic. If your husband or your wife is a degraded person and you maintain your affection in the name of duty or something, then whatever is their destination, that will be your destination. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. You have that bhav. That person is degraded, you have that attachment, you are also degraded. It's a simple law of nature. So you see, meditate very deeply on the teachings of Srimad Bhagavat. That will help you advance in bhakti. It will be very painful. Let me also warn you that especially the next verses we are reading are going to be very painful. Yes, any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, I have a couple of questions now.
Yeah.
So, beginning with one, we said we are just talking about, so for householders, the translation says, nor are they attached to the wife, children, friends, and wealth. And at the same time, they are not indifferent. Prabhupadaji's language is simple, no doubt, I agree. But consider me as one of the dumbest that I do not understand. Practically, isko kaise samjhe? And because practically it does seem hard to understand, how can you even execute this practically?
Very simple. Now, do you have a car?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine you have a car and you have to travel like 30-40 kilometers every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now you notice that car is smoking, it's making some horrible sound, it is smoking. And you take to a mechanic, the mechanic says, madam, we can't do much, it's old. So, you just carry on, it will last for another 20-30,000 kilometers and then we'll see after that. So what do? Will you come back and kiss your car and say, oh, my car, I really love you?
No.
What will I do without you?
No. You'll use it for 20-30 kilometers and then you look for another one.
Exactly. But will you just take that car and throw it in the garbage can, tell the mechanic, just throw it in garbage. I'll walk home.
No.
No, you'll not do that. You'll neither kick and throw your car, nor will you come back and hug and kiss it. Right? Why? What will you do? You'll just drive. Why will you do that?
For whatever reason, it's doing what I need it to do for now.
That's
it.
Utility. That's all. It's a car. Toyota gayi to Renault aa jayegi, Renault gayi to Ford aa jayegi. Kaun si aage? Right? Something like that. So husband, wife, they are also, they like, one has to live as a grahastha, so you live as a grahastha. Don't maintain over attachment that, oh, my life partner, my this, my that. So don't maintain that attachment. One day death will separate you anyway. And that day comes very soon. It comes much sooner than we expect. So you see, so don't maintain attachment. Do your duty. I mean, you will still come back. You will just fill up your tires with air. You will put petrol in the tank. It's not that you will just wait for the car to die out. Hell with it. I'll drive as much as petrol is there in the tank, or if I'll just drive as much as air is in the tires. You're not going to do that. The car is good for 20,000 kilometers. You'll properly air the tires. You'll properly fill oil and coolant and other things. You will take care of the car, but you will not maintain attachment to it. Right?
Yes, so for example, if we look at Prabhupadaji's example, right? Prabhupada Leela Amrit, Prabhupada was affectionate to his kids, to his wife, for the sake to get them into Krishna consciousness, right? And when things were not working out, it took Prabhupada 1 second to just say, tea or me. And when Mataji said tea, Prabhupada just left. That was the ticking point. So looking at those examples, it seems that Prabhupada or those Mahatmas, they have very strong goal and very strong determination for the goal. And we clearly do not have that. So for us, because we do not have that strong determination of our goal, everything backfill that we need to do doesn't happen. And that's the struggle we are in. Maybe that's why we are too attached. Maybe that's why we are hankering after so many things, because our goal is not that strong.
Yeah, see, either Krishna or Maya. कृष्णेरा बहिर्मुख है भोग वांछा करे, निकटे स्था माया तारा जापटिया धरे. So please pay very careful attention to these words. Nikate stha maya tara japatiya dhare. She grabs you. And Maya is not some like overly attractive, jingly things. Maya is in everything. Oh, my son. Oh, my mother. Oh, my father. Now, who can say that you should not love your mother or father? It's like Dharma Shastra is also saying that. Husband, wife, we can still understand. That's a sexual relation. So it may not be like, so nice. One cannot say, oh, I'm too attached to my wife. It doesn't sound nice. But if one says, oh, I serve my parents, who can dispute that? Even the demigods will praise that. But that is also Maya, because that is not Krishna. So from the vision of absolute, attachment to one's mother is just as degrading as attachment to one's wife or one's girlfriend or to some low-class woman. Because there is no Krishna in this.
Yes, if there's no Krishna in it, yes.
And this association is taking our time away from Krishna. See, we are not like some kind of empty moralists who are preaching celibacy or this or that. No. We are preaching attachment to Krishna. Maharaj Chitraketu had almost 1 million wives. Still he became attached to Krishna. These are strict celibates, Naishtik brahmacharis, but still they are fallen. They are in the platform of, they eventually fall to material platform because there is no Krishna. So we do things which are favorable. Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam. So pratikulasya varjanam. Give up whatever is not necessary. So suppose you have a husband who is not a devotee, but he's not disturbing. It's fine. What's the problem? Just do your duty. But if the husband is like a disturbance, then you should think carefully what to do. And if the husband is a devotee, like, very strict devotee, then that attachment is actually beneficial. But not too much. Like, you should not become attached to the body of the husband, but to the principle of that he is following. Like attachment to spiritual master is the path of liberation.
True. So 2 more questions, Rohit. Sorry.
Yeah,
2 more questions. One is, here it says, he should be satisfied by collecting only enough money to maintain body and soul together. One should not have more than that, or one should not have less than that. So to every person, this more or less theory could vary depending upon their thought process. So how do we practically understand what is actually Shastra is asking us to do? Like, what seems maybe less to me might be more for someone else, or what means more for me may be less for someone else.
Honest labor. There are laws. You are living in Canada, there are labor laws. 7.5 working hours per day. So whatever you get from that, be satisfied. Bhagavad Gita, the word uses yadracha. Something that comes of its own accord. Not something that, you endeavor for. Not that, you work 7.5 hours, then you come home, then you take that money, put it into Bombay Stock Exchange. Because that starts working when there is night in Canada. Then you make some money out of it. Then you invest it into cryptocurrencies. That is atyahar. So, like, if you are working 7.5 hours and your work is honest and you are getting like $1 million, that's all right. That is not atyahar. But if you are working 20 hours a day and earning $10, that is also atyahar.
Yes.
Yeah, the principle is how much time are you giving to Krishna? How much time are you giving to your labor? That decides.
And one last question.
Yeah.
So here it says he gets the householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. What do you mean by full opportunity?
I mean, normal time, you work 6 hours, 7 hours. Actually, that is bad because Prabhupada says that Grihastha should work 4 hours. That is Vedic standard. I mean, farmers till their fields for 4 hours. They do trade. Traders do some trade for 4 or 5 hours. I mean, I remember when I was a very young child, like very small in the 70s and 80s actually. I would there were no shopping malls or anything at that time. You just had to go to markets. So there I would see, like even in a place like Kashmir, which is like quite atheistic sort of a place, you could see like there were 90% Muslims. So there were Hindus and Muslims. You could go to these Hindu shops and you could see the men were simply sitting there chanting Shiva's names or something because Kashmiris are Shaivites. Or you could go to Muslim shops and you would see there would be old men sitting there in the shop and quietly reciting Quran or chanting on tasbih. Watching movies on mobile phones. But those are the days. Srila Prabhupada's father himself, he just used to work very little bit. He had a clothes shop. He'd work a little bit, he would keep on performing puja all day. And keep praying, let my son become a pure devotee. Please, bless, Radha Rani, please accept my son. That is all he was doing. So, full opportunity, as much as you can.
Take it.
You know what it is.
Thank you so much.
I don't have to tell you.
No, take it. Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That really helped. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Prabhuji, what we discussed just now, and what you quoted about Chitraketu, I think this is ample for many of the people who got a lot of doubts. Some of us are depressed because the doubts we have. Actually, it should not be thought that this Krishna consciousness is being thrusted upon us. We have to do nothing except with Krishna. But we just discussed with Anu Mataji and you and the Chitraketu case. I think it should be very clear what the extent we should do and what is the right thing. We should know whether we are wasting time in other things instead of devoting to Krishna. That is what Prabhupada also says. You have to earn. Krishna also says, you have to earn for your livelihood. On the other day, some senior devotee was talking to me. He was bewildered. Prabhuji, मालूम नहीं है. सूरा माला भी करता हूँ. उसके बाद भी रात को मैं ड्यूटी करके आता हूँ अपनी. उसकी ड्यूटी ऐसी है कि उस रात को करनी है. तो ऐसे so far you're doing your 16 mala sincerely, and then you find that you have to perform your professional things. And for that you have to go out. So I think be cool on that, and then you see whether you can save some time, some more time, and devote to your devotion. तो I think जो काफी लोगों को हमारे दिमाग में जो शक हो रहे हैं, वो कम हो जाने चाहिए अभी. We should not be so depressed and all that. Things are quite bright. Only thing we should remain dedicated. Dedication. That is my view.
No, perfectly fine. Yes, Anandam Prabhu, you have something to say also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandapranam. So, quite a few years back, people used to tell when they converse like how things are going on. So, it's oh Prabhu, it's like we had to work like so hard, 8 hours a day, and sometimes we have to 2 and 10 hours a day. So people are not so unhappy in doing it. They say, feel like, oh, I have my responsibility, I have to work so hard. So it is definitely the part of the thing. So that feeling of, because of my karma, I am forced to work like this, which is not at all appreciable for my spiritual growth. That type of sensitivity is nowadays lost. So devotee always should aspire that he can find more and more time to serve Krishna. That doesn't mean that he is negligent in his service. But at the same time, he should not aspire for his needs becomes wants, and he just keep on working harder and harder and harder, so that they can earn money to go for yatras. They can earn money to have good education for their children. So in this name of all these things, I just named a few. In the name of even good future security. So many times devotees have to work so hard that it may not be the need of for them actually, but still they have to work hard because of that. Their expectation from their spouse, from children is that if you have the ability, then you should work hard and earn a lot. Whereas the need is not there. And unfortunately, these teachings directly is indicating the opposite. It is indirectly telling us that to lead a sattvic life, one should focus on the bare minimum needs and little bit of security, and always depend on Krishna. So when we try to work hard and accumulate, so we are trying to depend on our own hard work and our own good fortune. And that is actually condemned according to all the scriptures. And
Yes.
Unfortunately, even our spiritual guides are not guiding in this way, because they will tell us what they tell us in our initial days, the same thing they tell us after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years also. No, you have to earn for Krishna, give things to Krishna. That is very pleasing to him. But they don't tell the final commandment of Lord, that is, Krishna doesn't like your wealth, Krishna likes you.
Yeah, that's important.
So why do
actually.
they forget to tell us all these things?
See, the purpose of Grahastha Ashram is to develop renunciation. You slowly work in the material atmosphere, slowly you understand how disgusting and terrifying it is, and gradually you develop detachment from it. Not that you get deeply and more deeply entangled. Like, what is the purpose? Male-female attraction. But as soon as you associate with a female, you realize it is not so pleasant. You go to work to earn money, to have so-called independence, and then you realize that there is really no independence. Then you associate with family members just to enjoy their association. But then you realize there is death that will separate you. So all these realizations are available to Grahasthas. Brahmacharis can't have these realizations. The purpose of Grahastha Ashram is to develop disgust for material life, not to become more and more enamored by it. Krishna doesn't care whether you are a millionaire or a trillionaire or whoever you are. One tsunami can finish any Ambani, Adani, or Microsoft or Amazon. Anything Krishna can finish in seconds. Krishna is just tolerating them. Krishna is not like he's going to come down and look at Jeff Bezos and say, oh my goodness, what a man. Krishna doesn't care. He's a worm, worthless, insect in front of Krishna. Not even an insect, like maybe a bacteria or something. So you see, Krishna doesn't care for these things, but Krishna wants you. You are given the facility of Grahastha life to understand how disgusting material nature is. So take advantage of it and go back to Godhead. So actually, when a Grahastha takes sannyas, it is much better than a Brahmachari directly taking sannyas. Because a Grahastha has understood, experienced the material life, and he knows how horrible it is. He's able to give it up. Okay, so we stop. Anyone else has any question or comments? Okay, then we stop here today. We'll start with text 4 next week. Okay? Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.